to reflect that it's Tuesday, June 16th, 2020. My clock has it at 7:43 p.m. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Governor Pritzker's Disaster Proclamation and Public Act 101-0640, which amends requirements of the Open Meetings Act to the COVID-19 pandemic. Pursuant to the same, the village board finds that it would be impractical to conduct an in-person meeting with all members present. I would ask that at this time that the elected officials confirm that they can hear one another. Is everything transferring and transmitting properly?
This is Trustee Mueller. I'm going to say everything.
Trustee Galante, yes it is. Trustee Berg, yes.
Trustee Brady?
Yes.
Trustee Brennan?
Yes, we can hear you.
Trustee Glotz?
Yes.
Thank you. All the materials for this meeting are available on the village website, and we recommend the members and the public follow the agenda as posted. After members have spoken, I will afford public comment as follows. Once I, the chair, has a list of all public commenters, I will call on each person present that are at the meeting and afford them 6 minutes for their comment. The public was also provided the opportunity to submit a request until noon today by email to the clerk's office or by placing the written request in the drop box at the Village Hall to participate publicly via a live telephone call at a relevant portion of the public meeting. And the public was provided the opportunity to submit written comments until noon today by emailing their public comments to the clerk's office or by placing a written comment in a drop box at the Village Hall. Finally, each vote will be taken this evening will be conducted via a roll call vote. At this time, if we can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk, can you call roll, please?
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Present.
Trustee Galante.
Present.
Trustee Glotz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Here. Very good, thank you. Item number 1, at this time I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda. Is there such a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. It's been properly moved. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Trustee Brennan. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes. Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 2, at this time I'd ask for a motion for consideration to approve the minutes of the special village board meeting that was held on June 9, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the special village board meeting held on June 9th.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glotz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 3. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider the following staff appointments for the 2021 fiscal year.
I'll second
Is
it.
there a motion on the table?
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Trustee Brady, I believe.
Correct.
At this time, I'll read the following staff appointments into the record. David Niemeyer as Village Manager, Patrick Carr as Assistant Village Manager, Emergency Management and Communications Director, Brad Bettenhausen as Treasurer, Forrest Reeder, Fire Service Administrator, Donna Framke, Marketing Director, Kimberly Clark, Community Development Director, Matthew Walsh, Police Chief, Colby Zamitis, Village Engineer, Peterson, Johnson, and Murray, Chicago LLC as our village attorneys. This is again for consideration for appointment for the 2021 fiscal year. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call vote for item 3, Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you, staff. Keep doing good work. Item 4. At this time, I'd ask for a motion for consideration for the following interim staff appointments. Is there a motion?
I'll happily make a motion for John Urbanski and Paula Wagoner.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Glatz and Trustee Brady. Again, at this time, I'd like to read into the record the 2 interim staff appointments that are being recommended this evening. As was just duly noted, John Urbanski as Interim Public Works Director and Paula Wagner as Interim Human Resource Director. If there's no questions, I would ask that the record, the clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Congratulations, interim staff members. Continue to do good work. Item number 5. At this time, I'd ask for motion to consider approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion on the table?
I'll make a motion to consider the approval of the following consent agenda items.
Trustee Mueller, is there a second?
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, can you call the consent agenda items into the record, please?
Item A, consider request from Crisis Center for South Suburbia to conduct a raffle through August 11th, 2020 at the Silver Lake Country Club, 14700 South 82nd Avenue, with the maximum value of the prize not to exceed $7,500. Winners will be drawn at Silver Lake Country Club. Item B, consider adopting Resolution 2020-R-040, approving a contract between the Village of Tinley Park and Murphy & Miller Incorporated for heating, ventilation, and air conditioning of all village facilities. And lastly, item C, consider payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $1,750,248.86, as listed on the vendor board approval reports dated June 12th, 2020.
Thank you, Clerk. Does any board member care to remove any of these items? Let the record reflect there's none. I would ask that you call the roll, Clerk.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you. Item 6, Trustee Brady.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2020-0032, amending Title III, Chapter 35, Section 35.6 of the Tinley Park Municipal Code Sexual Harassment Policy.
Second?
Is there a second? Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mike. The State of Illinois Public Act 100-0554 became effective in November 16, 2017, and required that all government units adopt an ordinance establishing a policy prohibiting sexual harassment by January 15, 2018. The village adopted ordinance 2018-0-001, becoming Title III, Chapter 35, Section 35.06 of the municipal Tinley Park Code to comply with the requirement. Further amendments regarding employment have been made through the enactment of this Public Act 101-0221, which became effective on August of 2019. This ordinance ensures compliance with the provisions of the new act. This ordinance was discussed at the Committee of the Whole held prior to this meeting, and this ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Are there any comments from the board? Very good. Is there anyone present from the public that would care to comment regarding this item? Were there any written comments or requests to speak telephonically received regarding this item? No. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 7, Trustee Brady.
Yes, I'd like to have the board consider adopting Resolution 2020 R-041, authorizing the renewal of a professional services agreement with ALLIANT MESIROW for the health insurance broker services.
I'll second that motion.
Is there a second? It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you, Trustee Brennan. Go ahead, Bill.
Discussion in 2017, the village went through a request for qualifications, RFQs, process for health insurance broker services. The professional services agreement was awarded to ALLIANT MESIROW for a 3-year term that expires July 14, 2020. The village staff has been very pleased with the services that they have provided and recommend renewing the professional services agreement for an additional year instead of going through an RFQ process at this time. Carrier commission on both medical and dental will be at 1%, which is a minimal increase, but still lower than typical standards. This item was also discussed at the committee of the whole prior to this meeting, and this resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Brady. Any comments from the board? Is there anybody from the public that would care to comment that is present at Village Hall that would like to comment regarding this item?
There is not.
Thank you. Any comments for Telefonica this evening, Laura?
No, there's not.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call vote for item 7. Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 8, Trustee Galante.
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to consider adopting ordinance 2020-0-20, fixing the time and place for public hearing and a joint review board meeting to consider the designation of a redevelopment project area and the approval of the redevelopment plan and project for the Village of Tinley Park, 159th and HARLEM redevelopment project area.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second
second
it.
that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Diane?
Thank you. In March of 2020, the Village of Tinley Park initiated the process to review the feasibility of creating a new tax increment financing district. On June 3rd of 2020, the Village has made availability the redevelopment plan and project document, which contains the eligibility analysis for the proposed tax increment finance for the review is on the website and at the village clerk's office. This ordinance is required by state and sets the time and date and place for the joint review board meeting on Tuesday, July 14th, 2020 at 1:30 p.m. at the Village of Tinley Park's Village Hall. Additionally, this ordinance sets the public hearing for 159th and HARLEM Tax Increment Financing District on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020 at 6:30 at the Village Park Village Hall. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Galante. Are there any comments from the board?
Yes.
Is there anyone present from the
Trustee
public that
Berg.
would care to comment? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trustee Berg.
Thanks, Mayor. I was just going to mention that, of course, you know, my opposition to tax increment financing is been well known. I really can't, support a 45% more tax increment financing than Orland Park, our neighbor, at the same intersection of 159th and HARLEM Avenues. I don't find that either of these towns are considered blighted, that they need to undergo tax increment financing at this time. The money just is, funneled out of the taxpayers' pockets into the businesses without the taxpayers' actual scrutiny in the first place. So I just want to go on the record that I will not be supporting the tax increments again based on the high amount of TIFs in Tinley Park already currently open. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Berg. Does anybody else on the board care to comment? We'll move on. Thank you. Is there anyone present from the public that would care to comment regarding this item?
There is not.
Thank you. Were there any written comments or requests to speak telephonically?
There was not.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call vote for item 8. Trustee Berg.
No.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you all. Moving right along to item 9. At this time, I'd ask the board for a motion to consider adopting ordinance number 2020-0-031, decreasing the number of Class A liquor licenses that can be issued in the village and increasing the number of Class AV liquor licenses that can be issued in the village for 350 Brewing Company located at 7144 183rd Street.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Is there a second?
I'll second
I'll
it.
second it.
Thank you both. It was moved and seconded. The proposed ordinance would decrease the number of Class A license and increase the number of Class AV liquor licenses in the village by 1. Petitioner is proposing to convert a private party room located within the establishment into a video gaming terminal room. The Class AV liquor license allows for both the retail sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on premise and video gaming terminals. The respective license will be for the following business and location for 350 Brewing Company at 7144 183rd Street, which is surrendering the Class A license in order to receive the AV license. Upon approval of this ordinance, the total number of Class A liquor licenses will decrease to 19, and the total number of Class AV liquor licenses will be increased to 14. This ordinance is eligible for adoption this evening. Are there any comments from the board? Thank you. Is there anyone present from the public that would care to comment?
There is not.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any written comments or requests to speak telephonically regarding this item?
There was not.
Thank you very much. If there's no other, we'll proceed. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Roll call vote for item number 9. Trustee Berg.
Abstain.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
The motion will carry. Thank you. We'll move on to item 10, receive comments from the staff. Is there anything from staff this evening?
Just one, Mayor Vandenberg, just on behalf of staff, we appreciate the elected officials' support tonight and look forward to a prosperous year. Certainly with a few less hurdles than the last several months.
Here, here. Anything else from staff? Very good. We'll move on to item 11, receive comments from the board.
I have a
Anything from the
comment.
board this evening?
I have a comment, Trustee Brady. I would like to propose
Floor is yours.
I'm sorry?
Floor is yours.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yep, floor is yours.
Over the years that I've sat here and over the years before that, we have stopped by and recognized high school sports. We have recognized just recently our 911 call center for the excellent job they have done. We've even recognized before me and during me and after me Eagle Scouts of our various boys that made Eagle Scouts here in Tinley. I would like to propose that we have a resolution designating the month of July as Thank a Police Officer Month, or whatever terminology you would like to use, for the whole month of July, and recognize their efforts, their jobs, and what they have to face every single day of whether or not they're going to come home. And I think that we should recognize them as well and have that be the whole month of July. That's my proposal. That's my comment.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
I like it.
Trustee Brady, thank you. Is there anything else from the board?
I have a comment, Jake, or a couple. First, to just add to what Trustee Brady said. Maybe you could even, just to cover them all with the nurses and doctors and our firemen, maybe just first responders, or leave it at police, or maybe make a separate month for them as well.
I'd like to do a separate month. We got 12 of them.
I don't think you could use them all.
Yeah, we could use them all. I mean, they have Breast Awareness Month, you know, they have Autism Month. There's a lot of things that you can recognize and have a resolution for. And I think the standalone for the police department would be fine.
So the first thing is, Jake, I want to thank, I don't have the email with me, maybe Dave can help me if I misspeak. I want to thank Sam's Club. We reached out to them asking for some grant money to help us with our seniors for the volunteer committee for the food delivering. And Kevin filled out the paperwork, sent it in to him. We received $2,000 directly for the seniors for helping with food. And then I believe the other $2,000 was for the senior bus program. Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah.
So I want to thank Sam's Club for their generous offer to help our seniors. And then last thing is, I want to read something, Jake, just for a dose of transparency. In case number 17L11231, Mr. Eberhardt filed a lawsuit for defamation against numerous former elected officials, a candidate for trustee, and village residents. He sued these individuals for defamation because they commented that Mr. Eberhardt had attempted to blackmail a candidate to drop out of a village election. The judge dismissed all of Mr. Eberhardt's defamation claims. Why did the judge dismiss all of Mr. Eberhardt's claims? One of them was the judge found that statements alleging Mr. Eberhardt committed blackmail were true. Mr. Eberhardt had visited a candidate at his place of business uninvited. He then presented the trustee candidate with an ultimatum to force him out of the election. The candidate filed a complaint with the ARDC, the organization that disciplines attorneys for doing bad things. In his response to the ARDC, Mr. Eberhardt actually admitted that he gave the candidate an ultimatum. The judge held, and I quote, Mr. Eberhardt's subscription to the more I write, the more I antagonize my opponent's school of litigation indicates that he does not care about wasting the scarcest of judicial resources time. My question tonight for Mr. Eberhardt is, why didn't you register an in-kind donation with the Board of Elections for your embarrassing blackmail scheme, since you like to bring up campaign contributions? I wonder what his blackmail attempt was worth for that job he worked so hard for. I'd also like to address another comment that was made during public comment at a previous meeting by Mr. Eberhardt. Stephen Eberhardt made a long, rambling, and only semi-coherent diatribe about me and others on this board. And while I think I speak for the entire board when I say we welcome public comment, Mr. Eberhardt was rightfully chastised during his comment by Mayor Vandenberg for going after people's families. No one was surprised that Mr. Eberhardt would go after people's families or engage in that type of rhetoric. More importantly, Mr. Eberhardt began his comments with the following statement. Thou shalt not bear false witness is not only a principle of every world religion, but a mandate of Illinois law. He also said that when a judge says he or she does not find a person credible, that's a tempered judicial way to say the person lied. So what have a couple judges said about Mr. Eberhardt? A trial court judge discussed Mr. Eberhardt's credibility in a case where he was acting as his own attorney. The court said, and I quote, "My concern with your failure to meet your burden was what I perceived as a lack of credibility on your part." So remember, Mr. Eberhardt says that's a tempered judicial way to say the person lied. So Mr. Eberhardt, by his own words, he lied to a judge. Mr. Eberhardt also brought up election finance disclosures in his comments last week. It's very interesting that he did that, because Mr. Eberhardt filed a financial disclosure in the same case I just referred to. So what did the judge say about Mr. Eberhardt's finance disclosures? The judge found that while Mr. Eberhardt made withdrawals that year from his IRA twice, he failed to include that in his disclosure to the court. He did those withdrawals in an attempt to lessen his child support obligations. The judge then voiced his disappointment with Mr. Eberhardt that he failed to include the existence of an IRA on his financial disclosure affidavit. The judge found Mr. Eberhardt bared false witness. The trial court judge also found Mr. Eberhardt in contempt of court. The trial court judge said Mr. Eberhardt didn't sound to me like somebody who's trying to be straightforward with the court. Again, in Mr. Eberhardt's words, a tempered judicial way of saying Eberhardt lied. In fact, when the judge discussed whether he believed Mr. Eberhardt, he said plainly, "I don't." That was a direct way for the court to say, Mr. Eberhardt lied again. The court said Mr. Eberhardt sounded like somebody who's trying to be evasive and not give me the full picture. The court found a lack of credibility on Mr. Eberhardt's part personally and in his testimony. I tell you these things because it's important to understand the character and motivations of a speaker, not just his words. In Mr. Eberhardt's case, everyone listening now has a better understanding of the character of the speaker if they didn't already know it. I have more, but I think I'll save that for the another meeting. I'm sure Mr. Eberhardt will be waiting with bated breath. Thank you, I'm done.
Sorry, I forgot to take myself off mute. Is there anybody else on the board that would like to make any comments this evening?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is Trustee Brennan. I'd like to make a comment.
Floor's yours.
I just want to reiterate what Bill said. I think that'd be a good idea to pass a resolution for the Police Recognition Month for the month of July. I just want to add to your comments, in light of all of the issues that are going on right now. In my discussions with Chief Walsh, I just want to commend our very professional police department. We have not had a single use of force complaint in 2019 or so far in 2020. So I do want to, recognize them for being such a professional police department, and letting everyone know how lucky we are to have such a great department. So. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Brennan.
Thank you, Bill.
And I'd just like to add to that, Mike, we can recognize the fire department in October.
And HVAC this month.
Are there any other comments from the board? Very good. We'll move on to item 12, receive comments from the public. Is there anyone present from the public that would care to comment? I believe we have one.
Mr. Mayor, I'll start by saying that you should provide more time, because if I was to dig out all the emails from the 2017 and 2019 election and go into all the fabrications that Mr. Glotz wants to try and point out, we would be here for hours. But let me just talk about what I've prepared for tonight, and yes, I will be back, because as I stated before, the man is a liar. He's a rank, absolute liar. He does not tell the truth ever. Last week, Mr. Conley tried to justify the village's restrictive temporary procedures based on health and safety concerns. He mentioned Senate Bill 2135, which was signed by the governor last week, but nothing in it changes the OMA's provisions that guarantee the public the right to comment on topics of their choice at open meetings. Public health and safety did not justify Mr. O'Grady's refusal to have emailed submissions read at the April 7th meeting. O'Grady did it to protect 1 Tinley Park. The mayor said emails would be read. The Attorney General suggested it would be done to comply with the OMA, but O'Grady ignored the mayor and purposely misrepresented the Attorney General's published guidelines. Months ago, Trustee Glatz made a point to publicly compliment the clerk and the FOIA coordinator because the Illinois Attorney General PAC declined to order further investigation in one FOIA matter. What Glatz didn't mention is that at that time, there were 8 other active FOIA investigations pending. What Glatz won't publicly comment on, since his comments then, is that the PAC has determined that further action is warranted in 13 other FOIA and OMA matters. Probably the most outrageous case was where the village claimed it would be unduly burdensome to produce 100 pages of documents in regard to complaints made against elected and appointed officials. Many cases are forced into litigation because the village refuses to even respond to the directions of the PAC. On April 30th, the PAC issued a determination letter in a case that involved Mr. Carr's refusal to produce public records from village-issued and personal electronic devices. He has continually claimed those records on personal electronic devices cannot be public records. The Attorney General reminded this village that position was incorrect based on their decision in the Laquan McDonald case regarding Chicago police officers' phones. Carr was not ordered to produce any records because he advised that he deletes all text messages daily. But deleting public records without authorization violates the Local Records Act. The clerk knows it, Mr. Carr knows it, everybody sitting up on that board knows it, and everybody sitting up on that bench does it. One of the pending FOIA matters involves Carr's refusal to produce information about the ambulance contract and the complaints about improper service and problematic response times. Just imagine how much relevant information has been purposely destroyed because Carr deletes text messages daily. Your refusal to enforce the rules of FOIA, the OMA, and the Local Records Act is done only to protect your self-interest, but it costs taxpayers substantial sums of money in legal fees. And now we have Mr. Glatz again, banging and making noises so that it picks up on the microphone. Very, very intelligent, Mr. Glatz.
Just my microphone so I can.
Here's one of the worst examples of wasting money on legal fees that also involve FOIA issues. In case number 2018 M5014, the plaintiff sought reimbursement for overcharges on their water bills. Throughout the litigation, the judge tried to get the village to settle the case, noting the rising cost to taxpayers, but the village consistently refused until Irma lawyers decided to settle the matter as a part of the class action settlement. The plaintiff originally requested and was ultimately refunded what Mr. Niemeyer wrote in a very interesting letter was about $6,000. Yet the village paid Mr. Conley's law firm over $80,000 in legal fees contesting the refund. And everybody sitting up on this board approved $80,000 to ultimately settle for the about $6,000 that was requested. It's time the taxpayers' interest be put in the forefront and not overshadowed by your personal interests. Nothing this board has done since May of 2019 speaks of transparency, while little speaks of honesty. Too much time and money is spent on trying to hide the truth. The village has lost substantial revenue since the last March, and it's time to put taxpayers first instead of the personal interest of Trustee Glatz and his entourage. And what did Mr. O'Grady not want to start reading on April 7th? I can only give highlights because I am time limited. And again, Mr. Mayor, I'm going to ask for some more time after I listen to Mr. Glatz's personal attacks, after he does everything he can to stop me from talking about Mr. Brennan's relatives and Mr. Mueller's relatives that are all matter of public record. From April 7th, in disregard of the governor's order on March 27th, Trustee Glatz and a group of his political supporters that included village staff and the OTP party chairman went to former Clerk Ray's home to personally deliver birthday cake and cookies. The visit to Ray was just another example of the hypocrisy of elected officials in Tinley Park. Ray was one of Glatz's prime targets of political and personal attack during the 2017 election. He's now one of Glatz's political mentors and confidants. Glatz has abandoned his promises of transparency and honesty in government in favor of the old-time dirty politics that began with Zabraki and Ray that targeted and attacked anyone not in lockstep with their corruption. One particular social media discussion began when Tim Janisic posted a comment directed at then trustee candidate Jeff Vaccaro. Janisic wrote, "Jeff, I'm completely offended that you're trying to sit here and say you don't support bullying. You guys have been getting me to do all your dirty work on All Things Tinley and Tinley Community page for the last 3 months. This verified that Glatz and Therion knew that somebody inside
Clock.
the village hall..."
Timer, Jake.
I'm going to ask for another minute,
If you
Mr.
can't hear
Mayor.
it, Jake.
Another minute, Mr. Mayor, because Mr. Glatz does everything he can to shut me up, because this
All right.
is the last thing that he wants
That
to
will
hear.
be, thank you. Public comment, public time is over.
Like I said, October 1st, and Mr. Conley objected to. I'll be back. I'll listen to Glatz's...
That will be enough. That will be enough. Is there anyone else that is present that would care to make public comment this evening? Laura?
No, there's not.
Thank you. Were there any written comments or requests to speak telephonically?
No, there was not.
Very good, thank you. Move on to item 13 at this point. At this time, can I have a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss the following items? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second
And a
it.
second?
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. We're going to be discussing A, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. B, discussion of minutes or meetings lawfully closed under this act, whether for the purposes of approval by the body of the minutes or semi-annual review of the minutes as mandated by Section 2.06. And C, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent, in which case the basis for the finding shall be recorded and entered into the minutes of the closed meeting. It's been properly moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Very good. We will be adjourning into executive session. There will be nothing for the open meeting following. I wish you all a good evening. Thank you.